What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we are jumping in with some Destiny 2 news. We do have a bunch of stuff to talk about in this video, so initially we've got some updates from Bungie about the end of the season. We are going to discuss how the pyramid ships will tie into the future roadmap, but also we'll talk about content which will roll out shortly in the game, destroying the Almighty, and more. Additionally though, later today we are going to get a new hotfix for the game. We get a bit of a heads up for that, as well as some other updates that Bungie are tracking. But then we also have new supposed fall DLC leaks, so we'll talk about a possible location, enemy, raid, loot details, and more, of course coming with that big pinch of salt. Yeah, safe to say we've been having a lot of supposed leaks recently. As well as this though, we get a better look at the reprised Quest shotgun ornament coming this season, as well as a bunch of other news to round up in the video. So guys, if you do enjoy this one, a rating down below really helps me out, but now let's get into it. So into the Destiny stuff. Today, Bungie announced that they are going to be deploying a new hotfix into the game, and this one is with pretty short notice. And so hotfix 2.8.1.1 should be arriving today, April 29th at around about the daily reset time. There are going to be a handful of bug fixes and adjustments, but one of the main items of change will be a nerf to Hardlight. So Bungie said, Hardlight has been at the forefront due to a combination of recent adjustments to improve its usability and the adjustments to auto rifles that came with patch 2.8.0. Most of the adjustments coming on Wednesday are to address its usage for mouse and keyboard users, since the ability to precisely aim regardless of range allows you to use the weapon at longer distances, on top of being able to use ricochet rounds more effectively. Although weapons like Fighting Lion can also do what Hardlight does for indirect fire, they're generally less effective during a direct confrontation, but Hardlight boasts a lot of great stats, and its impact grows with more players using it. Eventually, no cover is safe, and as such we're reducing some of the aspects that allow for indirect fire and unexpected lethality in odd scenarios, while still retaining some of the bonuses to keep the flavour. So for the actual change we're going to get, Hardlight's damage fall-off now floors at 0.7 times, and auto rifles using 0.5 times standard. On top of this, they're splitting ricochet round bonus damage between PvE and PvP, so PvE damage remains at 2 times, but PvP damage is now 1.35 times. On top of this though, they have removed a hidden recoil adjustment that made the weapon more stable than intended. And DMG did clarify that the changes coming tomorrow are separate from the recoil adjustments made at the launch of the season, so the weapon shouldn't be absolutely destroyed or anything like that, but it's certainly going to be a bit of a nerf at the very least, and we'll have to see how that plays out in game. I'd be curious to get a sense of what you guys think about the change. I definitely agree that it has been very potent. And hey, at the end of the day, we did ask Bungie to make sandbox adjustments more frequently, so at the very least, they are kind of adjusting that sandbox a bit. That'll make room for some different weapons, and so hopefully it will be a broadly positive change. Once again though, inside of the update we get today, we are going to get a few other fixes for tracked issues. And just one example is the problem with the daily rotating weapon at Rasputin that doesn't recognize when you've hit rank 92 on the season pass, so be sure to stay tuned to the daily reset, and I will link the patch notes for the update in the description box below once it comes out later on. Another key thing to note right here from Bungie Help though, is that they have updated the Season Pass page to show the correct end date for Season of the Worthy, so that now correctly lists June 9th, and so also correctly lists the number of remaining days this season. And we do have about 6 weeks or so until the beginning of Season 11. But the very interesting thing here is that with this confirmed, we can pretty easily tie it with incoming events on Rasputin's wall map, so LBR Gaming pointed out that in 6 weeks, by June 9th, the first pyramids will have reached Saturn. And of course this is based on how far they've moved on a weekly basis since they first appeared on the radar, so while we knew that there would be a rough correlation, given more time and correct info of course, it now makes complete sense. And of course if the pyramids are at Saturn, then they will probably reach Titan, a location we already have in the game. But regardless, the pyramid story is obviously one that's going to be an ongoing one until after the fall expansion this year. It's also becoming clear that we're going to see it ramp up, I think, in Season 11, and who knows, maybe next season we'll be making some effort to fight this new enemy on the edges of our system. And naturally, the result of any failure there would definitely push us back, and then we'd be in that kind of expansion territory where the pyramid ships would actually arrive at Earth potentially. And yeah, it's safe to say that's when the trouble really starts, but there have been more supposed leaks about the fall expansion, and some of these leaks have gained a surprising amount of traction. So this one claims that the previous leak for Destiny 2 Collapse was from an employee of Bungie who's not actually been involved in the process of development for the DLC for nearly a year. Of course, whether these leaks are true, once again, is an entirely different conversation, but they say aspects of the previous leak are correct, but slightly outdated. Europa and an area previously described as the finality are still in development, but darkness subclasses have actually been dropped in favor of tuning existing subclasses. They also say that the previously mentioned Winnower character is not the physical incarnation of the darkness, but rather its agent, comparable to that of the emissary in terms of their role. But it also suggests that a new location, the Finality, will actually unlock once players complete the raid for that expansion. And they say there are currently 4 encounters in the raid, and one will be a non-boss encounter, like the Vault in Last Wish. According to this, we're going to get 4 new strikes, and then Callus, Morro, and Eris Morn will be major characters within the expansion. And then it finally claims that the Veil will still be the enemy race, and then we'll get a new exotic sword called Final Shape, as well as a reprised Dragon's Breath from Destiny 1. Now, what we do know about some of the content discussed here is that yes, it does link to the pyramid ships. And of course, with this leak supposedly being a more detailed version of the previous leak about Collapse, then once again a lot of the stuff that Anon the 9 leaked about a year or so ago, which largely did turn out to be correct. Yeah, there are a lot of references to that, but I think the fact that this leak claims to be linked to the previous leak, where we kind of borderline debunked that based purely on the artwork, which was supposed to have been from Bungie, but actually contained background images that you could find by searching Google, as well as some pretty questionable typography. The one thing I would say about these leaks more than any leaks that we've had, or at least the ones that we've really covered, right, is that they should definitely be taken with a significant pinch of salt. And so for some of you guys who've asked me again recently, that's why we haven't really done dedicated videos about these leaks on the channel. But as always, until we get that content drop, we just don't know. So I'd be curious to get a sense of what you guys think about what we're hearing here as well. Also here, we should give a massive shout out to some amazing fan-made cinematics by Drexis Animation. So this is on their YouTube channel. It's essentially a fan animation of the arrival of the pyramid ships. Really awesome stuff, but also worth getting a heads up about ahead of time in case anyone claims this to be leaked content in the near future. It's definitely fan-made, but it is absolutely awesome, and I'll link Drexis' channel down below. Now though, let's move on and talk about some Rasputin and Season 10 related content. So this week, players have pointed out that Anna has started showing dialogue screens about our progress. And so right here, we do have some current story to discuss, but also some future spoilers, so be aware of those. But in Rasputin Rising, Anna acknowledges ours and Rasputin's progress thus far, but also a hint to some of their missions in the time since we first interacted with Rasputin on Mars. So she says, Big Red and I found something that we might need your help with, but now's not the time. And obviously this is pretty cool because it's quite possibly a hint to the secret story and quest thread for the season linked to Fellwinter. And of course we're going to head back to Vostok, but also into a secret bunker on the moon, and we'll ultimately interact with what is believed to be the burial place of Fellwinter to acquire the Fellwinter's Lie. And so logically, she does suggest that we better deal with the Almighty first, and then she may have a little bit of side questing available for us afterwards. So I think that's a pretty cool tease to what's coming up. And it also gives a bit of clarity as to the upcoming sequence of events, right? We definitely need to finish what we're doing with the Almighty before we're going to get access to Fellwinter's Lie and that whole quest. We will, however, get more of these dialogues all the way until we're closing out the season. And so there is also Rasputin Full Power, where Anna says that Big Red is locked and loaded. And of course that'll be when Rasputin is 100% ready to take down the Almighty. But additionally we have United in Victory. We did it. We actually did it. And of course Anna is celebrating our victory over the destruction of the Almighty. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see when all of this takes place in the game. And I should also point out that Ginsor recently shared some new soundtrack material for when we do finally take Almighty out. So these are leaked audio files, but they don't come with any new cinematics or things like that. But they are very cool nonetheless, and I'll link that video down below. Once we're done with Almighty though, of course we are going to embark on that quest for the Fellwinter's Lie that we've spoken about quite a bit. Ginsor previously revealed that there will indeed be a community step to that quest. And if you want to check out any further details about the quest itself, I'll link that video down below. But Ginsor also posted, update, Fellwinter's Lie ornament now has a name, so it's called Blissful Ignorance right here. And we get 2 shiny new images of what the ornament will actually look like, so pretty cool. And we see the Iron Lord background on one of those images, but as far as I know, these will be kind of Eververse related promo images for after the weapon has actually been acquired. Now though, let's get some of the roundups and discussion about future updates. So firstly, this week at Bungie, which will drop this week on Thursday, Bungie have clarified that they're going to give us some new commentary about the seasonal model, player frustrations, but also a specific conversation about bounties and progression. So Cosmo said, we've seen a lot of players talk about what you don't like about bounties, and that you currently feel like they are too big of a part of the core gameplay loop. We'll share some of our thinking of how to improve them in future in this week's TWAB. So Much like last week where we actually got previews of changes coming in Season 11 as well as Season 12, it appears that we're reasonably likely to get a similar discussion about the other issues that Bungie are kind of bringing to the table. So that's going to be pretty cool, and stay tuned here on Thursday to get details about that. I'd also be curious to hear from you guys any additional subjects that you'd like Bungie to touch on. Remember that they have said they're going to attempt to address a particular issue every single week for the remainder of this season, so that's definitely a good few articles to discuss various different things going on in the game. For a few additional bits of commentary here from Bungie, head into DestinyRoundup.com, which is a really awesome website run by Shackle Shotgun, where you can get a roundup of commentary from Bungie developers about the game. They do say that they'll let the team know that super kills in Rumble do make for a poor experience and can incentivize quitting out of matches early. Obviously, these are current Guardian Games objectives, so they're not very likely to change for this event, but it is stuff that Bungie can think about for future objectives and events. After discussing a potential flawless Adept mod slot for weapons or particular Trials of Osiris weapons, they also said that they're looking to adding a PvE version of the Adept mod slot in future as well. That could be a good drop for raids or Nightfall ordeals. They also say that they're definitely going to be talking about Eververse in a future in-depth this week at Bungie. And so once again, I think the next few weeks are going to be pretty important in terms of commentary about the game and Bungie engaging with the player base to try and both acknowledge the issues that players are discussing about the game, but also to give us as much of an idea as possible about how they're going to evolve that in the future, specifically based on the feedback that the community are making, right? So I think that's going to be a pretty big one. But for today, guys, that is everything that we have to round up in our news update. So as always, I hope you have enjoyed this one. Let us know your thoughts on any of the stuff that we've spoken about down in the comment section. And if you have enjoyed the video, a rating really helps me out down below as well. But also feel free to get subscribed and turn on notifications so I can keep you posted with the world of Destiny 2. But otherwise for now, guys, thanks as always for tuning in, and I hope you have an awesome day.